I am 76 and I once thought having a boyfriend after 60 would bring me happiness, but I learned the hard way that it stole my peace instead. I spent years trying to keep a man happy, thinking it was my duty. At 76, I finally understood. At my life, my energy, and my dignity were far too precious to give away. I want every woman to hear this. Never settle for crumbs, never compromise your peace, and never let anyone make your heart a burden.
I am 76 years old, and I need you to pause for a moment, because what I am about to say is not something society prepares women to hear. It may sound uncomfortable at first. It may even feel wrong, but it is honest, and honesty matters more than comfort at this stage of life. You do not need a boyfriend. That sentence alone carries a strange kind of shock because women are taught from the beginning that love must always look like partnership, that being chosen equals being valuable, and that being alone is something to fear. Those ideas do not disappear with age. They simply grow quieter and more dangerous. But the truth is this: you are not too picky, you are not too old, and you are not difficult. You are finally seeing clearly. Clarity often arrives late, after years of compromise, silence, patience, and self-abandonment. It arrives after marriages that required endurance instead of joy, after caregiving roles that consumed identity, after betrayals that taught restraint, after illnesses that forced humility, and after losses that rewired the heart. What you are feeling now is not bitterness. It is wisdom. Love itself is not the enemy. Companionship can be beautiful. Shared laughter, warmth, and presence can still matter deeply. What becomes dangerous is the belief that peace must be traded to have those things. What becomes harmful is the quiet agreement many women make with themselves to carry emotional weight just to avoid being alone. After 60, the body remembers everything, and the soul refuses to pretend anymore. The word boyfriend begins to feel wrong at this stage, not because of age, but because of depth. It is a word that suggests lightness, impermanence, and emotional minimalism. Yet your life has been anything but light. Your heart has endured realities that require maturity, accountability, and presence. When a man insists on remaining a boyfriend, he often insists on remaining unchallenged, uncommitted, and emotionally unexpanded. Many women shrink themselves without realizing it. They learn which topics to avoid. They soften their truths. They swallow their questions. They hide their fears. They stop naming their needs. Not because they want less, but because asking for more feels exhausting. Over time, depth becomes inconvenient, and silence feels easier. This is not peace. It is erosion. Energy changes after 60. It becomes sacred. Every conversation, every obligation, every emotional exchange leaves a mark. When a relationship consistently leaves heaviness behind, that heaviness does not disappear. It settles into the body. It disrupts sleep. It dulls joy. it shortens patience. Emotional labor at this stage of life is not a small thing, it is costly. Kind women are especially vulnerable. Empathy becomes expectation. Compassion becomes obligation. Listening turns into emotional caregiving. Boundaries blur. What begins as connection quietly transforms into responsibility. Many women realize too late that they have become the emotional anchor for someone who never learned to stand on his own. There is also the unspoken reality of safety. Trusting strangers, navigating unfamiliar spaces, and managing vulnerability is different now than it was decades ago. The world does not become gentler with age, and the consequences of misplaced trust grow heavier. Peace and security are not luxuries. They are necessities earned through survival. Growth does not stop at 60. In many ways, it finally begins. Freed from earlier roles, women rediscover curiosity, spirituality, creativity, and self-reflection. They read differently. They think differently. They feel differently. This expansion can be threatening to men who are emotionally stagnant. Instead of growing alongside it, some resist it. They miss the quieter, easier version of the woman who did not name things. To preserve harmony, women often slow their own growth. They stop attending gatherings that inspire them. They minimize their insights. They avoid transformation to avoid conflict. This is one of the quiet tragedies of later life. Not heartbreak, but self-betrayal disguised as compromise. The financial cost is rarely discussed honestly. It begins innocently: shared meals, shared trips, shared time. Then routines shift. Sleep patterns change. Health needs are ignored. Eventually, boundaries blur around money, space, and responsibility. Temporary arrangements become permanent. Sympathy replaces fairness. Stability erodes slowly, almost politely. Underneath all of this lies the deepest trap of all: the belief that being alone is worse than being drained. Society praises endurance more than discernment. It teaches women to fear solitude more than depletion. But solitude is not emptiness. It is space. Space to breathe, to rest, to heal, to grow, and to finally hear oneself clearly. After a lifetime of giving, proving, adjusting, and holding things together, the greatest wisdom is choosing peace without apology. Love at this stage should feel calm, mutual, and light. It should not require shrinking, rescuing, or sacrificing dignity. Anything that demands self-erasure is not love, it is labor. You have already paid enough. Feeling guilty about asking a man to leave your space does not make you heartless. It means you have spent a lifetime being considerate, accommodating, and emotionally aware. That guilt comes from conditioning, not wrongdoing. You were taught to be patient, to be understanding, to make room for others, even when that room cost you comfort. But kindness was never meant to become self-erasure. You did not spend decades building a life only to give the best parts of it away. out of obligation. Every year behind you represents effort, sacrifice, endurance, and growth. You survived seasons that demanded everything from you. You carried responsibility when others rested. You gave stability when things were uncertain. You earned the right to choose peace without apology. This is not just about money, even though money matters. It is about emotional economy. Each day now arrives with a limited reserve of energy. There is only so much attention the nervous system can offer before it begins to fray. When that energy is consistently spent on someone who cannot meet you with emotional maturity, the cost accumulates quietly. Fatigue settles into the body. Joy becomes muted. The mind stays busy managing someone else's needs instead of resting in its own rhythm. Waking up tired at this stage is often not a sign of aging, but of emotional overextension. The body keeps score. The heart recognizes imbalance long before the mind admits it. Peace of mind becomes the most valuable possession you own, and anything allowed close to you should protect it, not slowly dismantle it. Many women are taught that love means endurance. That belief becomes dangerous later in life. Some men approach older women not because they honor their depth, but because they assume tolerance will replace boundaries. They believe wisdom comes with silence. They expect gratitude instead of standards. They rely on the quiet fear that solitude will feel worse than depletion. That narrative is false. Fear-based attachment does not heal loneliness. It deepens it. Staying in a relationship to avoid being alone teaches the psyche that one's own presence is insufficient. Over time, self-trust weakens. The need for validation grows. Disappointment becomes familiar. Occasional kindness begins to feel like intimacy, even when it is not. Leftover attention is subtle. It arrives inconsistently. It shows up when convenient. It offers just enough warmth to keep hope alive, but never enough to create security. Over time, the heart learns to expect less while giving more. This is not love. It is emotional scarcity disguised as connection. There are women who remain in these dynamics for years, knowing they are undervalued, yet staying, because the unknown feels frightening. Hope becomes a coping mechanism. Waiting replaces living. Each compromise slowly teaches the body that its needs are negotiable. This quiet grief rarely has witnesses. Sacred love does not require shrinking. It does not demand silence. It does not ask for unpaid emotional labor. It meets you fully, respects boundaries naturally, and values presence over convenience. It feels calm in the body. It creates safety in the mind. It allows growth instead of resisting it. When you stop accepting roles that were never yours to carry, something profound happens. Space opens, breath deepens, time slows, energy returns. Relationships with friends deepen, community becomes richer, spiritual life grows quieter and stronger. Solitude transforms from something feared into something nourishing. Choosing peace over partnership is not resignation. It is discernment. It is the recognition that a quiet, grounded life is infinitely richer than a crowded one filled with obligation. Protecting your heart is an act of wisdom, earned through experience, not bitterness. If a man enters your life from a place of wholeness, bringing consistency, respect, emotional maturity, and ease, he becomes an addition, not a requirement. Until then, your life remains complete. Your worth does not fluctuate with attention. Your value does not depend on being chosen. You are not here to rescue, manage, or carry another adult. You are here to live honestly, gently, and fully. You have already given enough of yourself to the world. What remains now is for you. And in this season of life, choosing yourself is not selfish. It is sacred. At 76, I no longer confuse love with endurance. I no longer mistake attention for devotion or presence for commitment. I have learned that the quiet in my home is not emptiness, it is peace. It is the sound of my nervous system resting after a lifetime of being strong. I do not measure my worth by whether someone chooses me. I measure it by how gently I treat myself. I choose mornings without anxiety, evenings without explanations, and nights where my body can finally rest. I choose a life where I am not shrinking, fixing, or carrying what was never mine to hold. If love comes, it will come calmly. It will not rush me, drain me, or demand proof. It will sit beside me, not lean on me. And if it never comes, my life will still be full of meaning, memory, friendship, and quiet joy. I did not reach this age to live half a life. I reached it to live honestly. And in that honesty, I am free.